Similarly, accounting, whether we want to use the financials or not. I have not seen a single company who has disabled this, because NetSuite is generally used for its financials. So if you're using NetSuite, all those use accounting. AR is nothing but accounts receivable or on the sales side. AP is nothing but purchase side. So in case if you want to use bills and all those stuff, then we can enable these particular preferences. Similarly, accounting periods. We have gone through the periods as well, right? When we went to the subsidiary, we can have calendars and period defines. So in case if we want to use the accounting periods, we can enable this particular preference, but once enabled, it cannot be disabled again. Similarly, GL audit numbering. So on each and every transaction, we have a GL impact, right? So in case if we want to use numbers for those GL impacts, we can check these particular checkbox, and each and every GL will have a unique or specific number of its own once the transaction has been saved. Okay. Similarly, in case if we are using advanced financials, then it also has expense allocations, revenue recognition, and all those stuff. So in case if we are using that, these preferences are shown up here, and in case if we want to use those, we can enable or disable as required. Are you aware of what is expense allocation, dynamic allocation, revenue recognition?
Oh,
Are you aware of it?
no. No.
Okay. So there are some allocations that are done. Okay. So you might have different departments. Okay. So for example, talk about HR department, right? HR department is cost to your company. It's not generating any revenue as such. Okay. So in that case, you would like to allocate some expenses to that particular department, and there are various parameters that are defined depending on the number of employees, depending on the number of or the depending on the area of the office. So there are various you can say allocation methods that are used. So there are two options: expense allocation, and under expense allocation you can have static allocation or dynamic allocation. So in case if you want to use dynamic allocations, you can use that as well, but that is a part of the advanced financial module. Okay. Similarly, revenue recognition. In case if you are into softwares, okay, so there are or if in case let's talk about revenue recognition. So for example, you are into software, okay. Let's talk about a AMC, okay, annual maintenance contract, or you sell some software that has a particular period over it, maybe for example 1 year. Okay. So you might pay, or you can say the customer might pay you today itself. Okay. But that, so for example, the AMC is for 12,000 for 1 year. Okay. So for every month, the total revenue that you are generating every month is 1,000 rupees. Okay. So, but in that case, even the customer has paid all 12,000 to you today itself. Okay. But for accounting or for financial purposes, that 12,000 is not recognized today itself. It is recognized over a period of time. So what what actually is what actually happens is that 12,000 is parked under a deferred revenue account. Okay. And every month 1,000 rupees is transferred from that deferred revenue to your actual revenue. That is known as revenue recognition. And now there is also a advanced revenue recognition module available. That is an additional module and a paid module made available by NetSuite. So in case if you want to use revenue recognition, then it is required or it is used. and this is generally used in software companies. Are we okay with expense allocations and revenue recognition?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Going ahead, some of the stuff is still related to revenue recognition as well. Amortization. So similar on the sales side, there is amortization on the purchase side, right? You might have paid, or you might pay for the AMC for the whole year. Okay. So, but you will not expense all that stuff today itself. You will amortize it over a period of time, or expense it over a period of time. Then in that case, we use amortization. Okay. Apart from that, I had mentioned that there is advanced revenue management module. So in case if we uh, get enabled advanced revenue management module from NetSuite, then all these features also come up with that module. Apart from that, multiple budgets. Okay, so in case if we are using budgets and if we want to have multiple budgets, then we can enable this particular feature. Intercompany time and expense. One subsidiary might work for another subsidiary, and you might enter time and expense, you can say, associated with that particular uh, subsidiary. So in case if you are using intercompany time and expense, you can enable this preference. Similarly, there are various intercompany preferences available as well. Similarly, consolidated payments. We were trying to enable that particular feature, right? Consolidated, or you can say multi-subsidiary customer. Okay. So in until and unless consolidated payments is enabled, you cannot enable the multi-subsidiary customer as well. So this consolidated payments is nothing but in case if you have parent-child relationship for a customer. Okay, so let's talk about Tata Group. Okay, Tata Group might have multiple uh, sub customers, Tata Motors, Tata Tea, and all those stuff. And there might be a case that Tata Motors pays for all their sub customers. Okay, so in case if we are using consolidated payments, then these feature can be enabled. Similarly, in transit payments, when we went through the procure to pay process, there was one thing called in transit. So whenever we pay a particular vendor, uh, the amount, or the you can say the uh, the bank account doesn't directly reflect the amount in their bank account. Okay, so in that case, what we do is we keep that particular payment in transit, and whenever the vendor confirms that yes, he had received the payment, then we transfer it from in transit to the actual payment. So in case if you want to use that, we can enable this particular feature. Once enabled, it cannot be disabled again. Similarly, we have the vendor prepayment, you can say, feature as well. It was introduced just a couple of years back. So earlier, what it used to be is, in case if you're paying any advance to the vendor, we had to first create a write check transaction and then create a credit note. But now there is a vendor prepayment, yeah, you can say, a feature that has come up, and that can be used if required. Similarly, there are many other features such as multiple calendar, statistical accounts. In case if we are using dynamic allocation and expense allocation, these statistical accounts are required. Apart from that, whether we want to pass these installments or period and journal entries, all that can be used or enabled. Similarly, advanced revenue recognition suite app is also available. So in case if you want to have any approval limits on the revenue arrangements, I'll not go into the detail what is a revenue arrangement and all that stuff, because that is a part of advanced revenue management module. So but in case if you want to use that suite app, we can install that suite app once the advanced revenue management module is provisioned. Similarly, there is one more module, multi-book accounting module, which is a paid module made available by NetSuite. So in case if we were using that there, then there are some multi-book accounting preferences or features available. Are we okay till now? Any questions?